Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of radiant settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
How's it going, people? Hope you're well. Big up to everybody. Hope you are enjoying your weekend. The sun is shining and the UK is expecting a heat wave this coming week. So please make sure that you use your suntan lotion, get yourself outside, be safe, get your sunnies on and enjoy your gardens and, of course, your beer gardens as well. It is going to be a very hot week. I am, for one, and looking very forward to it. So I'm going to get out and do a lot more exercise outside as opposed to going to the gym this coming week. If it is supposed to be a hot one. The summer has finally arrived, people. We've had an absolutely horrendous June and July, but for the, 1 week, I would say, so far, the UK has had this summer. It's been pleasant for a few days, but let's be real. It's not been a heat wave, and that is due to come. So please make sure that you are aware of it. However, we do say this sometimes in the UK, and it goes a little bit ski-whiff, doesn't it? So I wouldn't put your money on it that it's going to be absolutely baking every single day, but it is supposed to be if you're one who believes the weather forecast. Make sure you do me a favor. There's always almost 100 of you in here already, which is great stuff. Hope you're all having a great weekend. Please make sure that you have hit the like on this video and that you've hit subscribe. You are all listening because we are now at 21.8. Let's make sure we get that to 21.9 as we get to 22K for our long-term target of 30K for the coming season. So please make sure you've hit those two buttons. They're absolutely free. If you do want to throw in a super chat, please make sure you do that. If you do want to throw in any questions, please make sure you put the Q at the start so I know it's a question and I can star them. We're going to talk about the preseason game that I stayed up and watched last night. And if I'm honest with you, I was struggling. And it wasn't because Arsenal were poor. It was because I was absolutely knackered. But I did manage to stay up and watch it. Got myself up today around about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Have a little bit of a lay-in. It's about 3:30 I went to bed in the end. So well worth watching. But you know what? It's a scenario that I would probably not like to do many times. And what it's done is it's given me a lot of appreciation for all international fans. That's for sure. Make sure you do me a favor and click on the pinned comment as well. You can get yourself beard trimmers from Manscaped for a massive 20% off. So please make sure you do that by clicking on the link. You can do that at the start. And you can go and get the Beard Hedger. Click on Beard and Face. Make sure the Beard Hedger is in your cart. Once you add it to the cart and go to the checkout, you'll see that 20% has come off automatically as long as you use that link. So please make sure that you do that. So let's get into it, shall we? Arsenal were able to beat Manchester United 2-1. It was a game that I'm not going to lie to you was a little bit of a struggle in parts due to, one, the time it was on. And it wasn't the most exciting of games. I thought Manchester United actually started the better team. I have to be real. I thought they were fairly in control with what I've saw. Other than the first mistake from Lenny Yoro, which Jesus I thought potentially could have done better with, we didn't see anything from Manchester United or Arsenal much in terms of peppering each other's goals, let's say. But Manchester United found himself go 1-0 up. Arsenal got into the equaliser, made some subs in the second half, and we were able to make a difference and win the game. We lost the game on penalties, which is a really strange thing that we do at the end of these American tour games. We go on penalty shootouts just to give everyone a bit of a practice at penalties. It's quite funny, really, because I'm so used to when someone wins on penalties, everyone going mental. And it's literally like everyone just shakes their hands and walks off. It's very bizarre how it works. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about players that impressed. We're going to talk about some of the quotes from Mikel Arteta as well in his press conference and what he was discussing, or who he was impressed with, and some of the players that the fans are impressed with. So let's get to it. Make sure if you've got any questions, you put them in the chat as well. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Also, make sure you hit a Q at the start of it so that I can star it and know it's a question. Let's get to it, people. Obviously, we saw that the lineup was nothing that surprised us. At the moment, Arsenal were waiting for players to arrive back into full fitness. And those that have come in the last few days, I suppose it would be now, we're obviously going to make some form of appearance. And they did that in the second half. And it was good to see some of those first teamers getting back involved. Personally, I needed to start to see them very, very soon because well, pre-season's amongst us, which means the season's around the corner, and we need to get these guys with some minutes under their belt. So I'm glad that was the case, and we were able to do that. Martin Ødegaard starting again, Jurriën Timber starting at centre-half. Carl Hein remains in goal, as our goalkeeping situation is pretty short at the moment. Lewis Skelly is a player that I expect to see continue getting involved in the mix, but Zinchenko did play and start the game at left back this time. Obviously, Ben White continued in defence. We had Ethan Nwaneri, who continued in midfield and was seen as a better option to start than Fabio Vieira this time with Martin Ødegaard. Jorginho got a start ahead of Thomas Partey in the midfield. We saw Trossard and Nelson start and Gabriel Jesus up front. So it was a fairly mixed team, to be fair. Heaven was alongside Timber again. And unfortunately, the kid made a mistake for the goal. Now, Højlund took his goal very well. I thought Carl Hein and Heaven could have potentially done better, but Manchester United saw himself go 1-0 up. And what was really impressive for me was neither of them lost their heads. They obviously made a mistake. They knew that it weren't great. Not so much Carl Hein, but certainly I thought he could have done potentially a bit better. Højlund took his goal well, however, and I thought Manchester United deserved the lead. I thought they actually showed a little bit of class, in my opinion, for the first few minutes of the game. And then Arsenal got themselves back into it. I thought Højlund getting injured is probably something that Manchester United will worry about. After Lenny Yoro made that mistake, which, to be fair, he actually recovered from very, very well. I thought Jesus needed to hit that and deliver and pull the trigger a lot earlier than he did. He allowed Lenny Yoro to come back and take the ball back off of him. Him getting injured along with Højlund, that has got to be a concern for Manchester United. A team, let's be real, that got a lot of injuries last season. So what is going on at Manchester United? Why is there so many injuries at Manchester United at the moment? What is going on with their training? What's their fitness like? I don't understand why they just keep getting injuries after injuries. Højlund's a player that I thought that they were probably going to look towards next season as being their number 9. I know that Xerxes been brought in. Unless they get somebody else, it looks as if Højlund's the guy that they're giving the nod to. Now, he's now injured. Doesn't look like it's a long-term one, but certainly came off with a hamstring. And then you've got Lenny Yoro. They've just signed for 50 million, 18 years old. Probably the two players that you would like to have a good pre-season if you're a Man United fan. Both of them got injured and had to come off, which is bad news if you're a United fan. So for me, when we went 1-0 down, I thought, right, how do we react from this? But more importantly, how does Heaven react from it? Because it was a poor mistake. He got done by Højlund. And to be fair, I thought he had a pretty good game after that. I thought he showed a lot of mentality and determination. And I think when Mikel Arteta was asked about it in the interview, which we'll come to in a minute, he actually did say, how impressed he was by the reaction from him and what the mentality of the team is showing and of the individuals, particularly young players, is showing right now. So I was actually really impressed with his game after that, because quite easy to lose your heads as a young player, particularly when you make a mistake which leads to a goal. So yeah, credit to him for that. I thought he was good. But after that, I thought Arsenal were in cruise control. I've got to say, I thought we were the better team for the majority of the game after that. And it was great work yet again from Ethan Nwaneri. Now, I don't like to get too excited. I'm not an Arsenal fan who starts to overhype and overgas players. We've got them in our fan base, trust me, that go over the top with stuff and start saying players are world class and they're going to be next level. I've seen a lot of young talent come through at Arsenal in my time. Been watching Arsenal since 1992. So I go back a while now, right? I'm getting older. And for the 30 plus years that I've been watching them now, I've seen a lot of young players come through that are being told they're going to make it. They're going to be the next best thing. And I've said this a number of occasions because it's true. There's normally one that comes through every decade. Now, sometimes you get two that come through at the same time. And we've had that before where they've come through and they've done well, particularly in the early 90s, late 80s. We had the likes of Rocky coming through, Michael Thomas coming through, Tony Adams coming through. We had a couple that come through together, Paul Merson, Kevin Campbell, Ray Parlour. They all kind of come through together. Now, there's only a couple of those you would say are absolutely legendary status at Arsenal, Rocky and Tony Adams, right? They've had legendary moments. Ray Parlour scored goals that are important. We all know the good friend of mine, Kevin Campbell, who sadly passed this year, was unbelievable moments at Arsenal. Likewise, Mickey Thomas will always remember the 89 goal. But those two come through together and you thought, yeah, Rocky and Tony Adams are special. Then you go to the 2000s, you had Ashley Cole. Later on, you then got Jack Wilshere, and now we're at Bukayo Saka. I'm not saying Ethan Nwaneri is going to be a Bukayo Saka. but he has similar attributes in terms of his confidence on the ball to what Saka had. He lights up the place. When you start looking at his game, you don't look at him and think, yeah, shows glimpses, but a little bit out of place. You don't look at his performance and think, I don't think he's ready. You don't look at his performance and think, I don't know that he's going to make it. He will make it as a footballer, and I hope it's at Arsenal. I don't look at him and get the same impressions that I did with Eddie, with Reece Nelson. I have to say it, even with Smith-Rowe. I don't look at him and think, wow, he looks to be a Dan Crowley or a J. Emmanuel Thomas or Lupoli or Quincy Owusu-Abe, all names that people threw at me. Jeremy Ali Adier. Going back years now, you think, yeah, they're going to make it. They're going to make it. I get more excited, if I'm honest. I honestly do believe this guy could be the real deal. And he has made me think that for a while now, not just in a pre-season against Manchester United in America. He looked good against Bournemouth the other week. I think that has to be said. But when I've seen him play, he looks above his level at the age of 16, 17. He was 15 when he came on against Brentford. Last season, he made some appearances at 16 years old, and I said to you that I saw him in the game against Juventus. And when he came on alongside Kozia Dubry in that friendly we played, he looked really good, like one of the best players on the pitch. And I have to say, in the last two games I've seen in pre-season, he's been one that's lit it up. And for the equaliser, which I must say was offside, and I have to say, the officiating was terrible last night. Absolutely embarrassing. It really was. I was quite embarrassed for how bad they were. Some of the offsides they were calling were not offside. Some of the goals they were letting in were offside. Some of the chances they were letting in, they were blown. I thought it was poor officiating all round, I must say. But for me, it was Ethan Nwaneri who made it. Now, Trossard was looking very technically gifted, as he always does, and he then sprayed the ball out to Ethan Nwaneri, who was actually seen to be going over to that left-hand side. He puts the ball in, and Jesus is there. Now, he is offside. You can look at it how many times you want. He is offside. But Gabriel Jesus, for me, looked very, very sharp. Very, very sharp. And I have to say this. I was excited by Gabriel Jesus. Not because, wow, he's going to be a top talent. I was excited because he looks the real deal again. He looked one of the best players on the pitch. He looked brilliant in the press. He looked lively. He didn't look like he was lagging. He looked sharp. And that for me is quite exciting, because if we can get the Gabriel Jesus that we know we have as the footballer that's fit and that's sharp, that can get involved, that can contribute, that can score goals, that can poach in the box, that can link up play, that can work hard, then we've got a really good player on our hands. Unfortunately, the fitness has not been with him, right? I just looked at him without him kicking a ball, and he just looked a beast. He looked better. He looked like he had more muscle. He looked like he'd lost a bit of timber. It looked like he was really working on his game outside off the pitch. And that, for me, I have to say, is a very good attitude. Because the player's 26, 27. Gabriel Jesus is not a player you look at now and think, wow, he's only got a couple of years left in him. He's not in his 30s yet. He's in his late 20s. So for me, getting just past your mid-20s, you should have a hell of a long career left if you want it. And I just looked at his game and I thought it was sharp. Everything about it was impressive. I thought he linked up play well. I thought he worked hard. I thought he tracked back. I thought his press was in sensational. And it looked a little bit similar to the Jesus that I saw in the first pre-season when we signed him, that was scoring goals, that was one of the best players on the pitch, that was linking up. That's got to be exciting for Arsenal. Now, it doesn't mean we don't need a striker. It doesn't mean Jesus is now our number 9. It doesn't mean that Jesus is going to have to play every single minute of every single game. But what it does mean is that we've got a fitter Gabriel Jesus that I think we can be excited to see this coming season. So I have to say that. Been impressed. Very, very impressed with his game. And he's a player that I've always liked to watch as a footballer, but I've never really saw as a number 9. And I know I did a show yesterday about what does it actually mean in relation to our number 9 situation and what Victor Gyökeres could bring. Make sure you check that out, because the stats are actually quite impressive. It's the latest video that I did that come out last night. And I look at the comparisons of Gyökeres and Havertz, and we'll come on to strikers in another show, but actually it'd be a good signing. But what it doesn't do is show the stats of Gabriel Jesus. Now, Jesus has had 14 goals at Manchester City as his best season. At Arsenal, I think he got 11. But I do honestly believe that Gabriel Jesus has a lot more to give at Arsenal. And I hope that we see it this season. I really do. I think he's a really, really good footballer. And, like Kyle says, lost weight too, looks fit, looks sharp. All we can go on is what we've seen. Do I think that he's going to go at the number 9 and take us across the title? No, I don't. But you have to give the guy credit when he's playing well. And I think that he had a good game last night. I was really impressed with him. So those definitely need a mention. Jesus, heaven for his comeback after a bad mistake, and Ethan Nwaneri. Jorginho kept things ticking. Ødegaard showed his class on the ball. He was very comfortable and casual on the ball. Manchester United didn't really want to kind of give Martin Ødegaard the space and time. There was a couple of youngsters that impressed for me at Manchester United, but nothing to write home about, in my opinion. But I must say, it's a good start to the campaign to beat Manchester United. I think we lost there last time as well, So actually, it's been good to see us get on the victory there against Manchester United. Now, in the second half, they made some changes. Jacob Kivior, I believe, come into the mix. We saw Thomas Partey, who was brought on. The one player that really shone was Gabriel Martinelli. Like, I have to say this. When he come on, he was brilliant. He was causing absolute mayhem, absolute havoc. He looked by far the best player on the pitch. I was so happy for Gabriel Martinelli. I've been real sort of fan of him since he's come on the scene. Burst into the scene when he was 17, 18 years old, playing up front when Emery put him there, scoring goals in the League Cup and with appearances that he made. Then he come onto the mix at Martinelli's team and started to have that injury where he was kind of being displaced by Emil Smith-Rowe, got himself onto that left-hand side. And we saw last season his form dipped. Trossard was now seen as the left winger and he was on the bench. But I tell you what, he looked very, very hungry. And what I wanted to do was just read out some comments on those players, because for me, Mikel Arteta, I will say this, he's very open and honest in interviews about each individual when asked a question. And I was quite impressed by what he was saying about the individuals. So before we go to that, Gabriel Martinelli showed his class. He showed that he was quicker than any of their fullbacks. He showed that he was terrorising their defence. He was cutting inside. He was having a go. He scored the winner for us with, let's be real, a goal which is quite difficult to do. He's done the man. He's beating that right back all day long. I don't know who it was in the end now. They made so many changes himself, Man United. But he was absolutely skinning him. Cuts inside and he slots it home for a 2-1. Now, he needs that for confidence. The two players I wanted to see have a good pre-season were Jesus and Martinelli, and they've started off well. So I think personally, we have to be happy for Gabriel Martinelli. I still think he can start on the left. I really do feel like he can start on the left. And I think Trossard is a fantastic player. But when you have Trossard ahead of you, I still think if you're Martinelli, you have a great opportunity to get ahead of Trossard still. Because he's got all the attributes I love in a footballer. I love his tenacity. I love his drive forward. It frustrates me a bit that he's got his head down all the time. But if he can get his head up and look, I think he'd be even better. I think his finishing's good. I think along with Trossard, he's one of the best finishers at the club. I fancy him when he goes through one-on-one, slot it home. He's got that composure, that cool head that he can just slot it home and pick a corner. I just really like him. And I hope he has a good season. Because I think people were disrespectful for Martinelli, not just last season, but even the season before. He scored 15 goals and no one spoke about him. He was our top goal scorer, but no one spoke about it. It was all Saka, Starboy, Martin Ødegaard, captain, leader. Arsenal so unlucky not to win a title. Martinelli scored our most goals. Was never even mentioned. Incredible. So for me, yeah, I personally feel like we have to look at him this season and get excited. Let's take a look, shall we, at some of the comments that were made from Mikel Arteta. I think it's important to take a look at what he was saying about the players in pre-season for this game. He starts with Gabriel Jesus. He says, he looks really good. He looks really sharp. He's changed a lot of things over the summer and he's come back in top condition again. When you have that baseline, other things can be built. But without that foundation, we don't have a player. He needs to be in that condition to get the best out of him. He's realised that, and I'm really happy with what he's shown today again. You can see by the way he looks, the way he's moving, and you can see in his eyes that there's a spark there. Do you know what? I agree with every single word. I do. And it's not often I agree with Mikel Arteta in terms of press conferences anyway. He did look good. He did look sharp. He definitely has changed his physique over the summer. He definitely looks fitter. And like you say, when you've got that foundation, you've got that mentality and that attitude to be ready and like go into the pre-season ready, you've got to have a lot of respect for that. And I thought it was a very, very good performance from Gabriel Jesus. So that's one I was impressed with. Then he mentions Nwaneri. And if I'm honest with you, I'm really excited by this kid. I think he's got a hell of a lot of talent, and he's a player that I think will definitely be used as the Smith-Rowe replacement this summer, should we not get a replacement like an Eze, which we'll come on to in another show. So Arteta spoke on the plan for Ethan. He said it's always in the hands of the players, so show what you can do. And I think he's definitely done that in the last 2 games anyway. Show that ambition, that determination, that quality, and things will happen naturally. That's really important, that quote, because that to me is not him saying what he expects. He's saying what he's already shown, because he has shown that ambition. That's why he's getting a game. He has shown determination on the pitch. You can see that. He's definitely shown quality and confidence. And then when he says things will happen naturally, that to me means he's got plans for Ethan Nwaneri. That for sure means he's got plans for him. Says tomorrow he's going to train with us again. And if he continues to play like that, he's going to play some minutes on Wednesday for sure. Now, that is Mikel Arteta being brutally honest and openly honest and positively honest about Ethan Nwaneri's future at the club, in my opinion. I honestly believe Ethan Nwaneri will play a big part this season. I do. I think he'll be a very, very good player for us. And I think he'll be a squad player that gets domestic cup games. I think he'll get minutes in both League and FA Cup, depending on the team that we get, of course. But I honestly believe that he would fit in. I wouldn't have any problem. This is the biggest compliment I can give him. I wouldn't have any problem him coming off the bench now. I wouldn't think, oh, that's a risk. What are you doing? You don't look ready. I'd rather be bringing him off the bench than Fabio Vieira. I really would. I really mean that. I think he's going to be a top talent. The other bit of news which I thought was very interesting was actually the news he made on Heaven. This was the reaction to the Højlund goal where Heaven made a mistake. He said very impressive at 17, which I think we forget sometimes. I don't know how many players are able to do that on a stage like this. He's lost a duel against one of the strongest and fastest players in the world, and it can happen. But the reaction afterwards, the composure, the quality, body language that he had were all remarkable. I'm really happy with him. And you know what? Big up, because that is a hard thing to come back from, particularly when you're a youngster. Making any mistake is hard, but making a mistake that leads to a goal and coming back from that, I think fair play. Listen, people, there's 400 people, over 400 of you now in here. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's see how many likes we've got. Should be over 100 now easily. Oh, there's dead on 100. Let's get that up to 200 very quickly, people. All we need to do is click the like button. That would be amazing. Then he goes on to talk about Gabriel Martinelli. But before that, he goes to talk on about Jurrien Timber. Now, I was really impressed with Timber, and I have been in pre-season. Now, I was impressed with Timber last pre-season as well. If you remember, he was one of our better players before his injury, was our man of the match or player of the match in the Community Shield. And I've been impressed this season as well. I love his versatility. This guy can play anywhere. And Arteta said now he's getting the rhythm because obviously he's missed a lot of football in the last year or so. Just look at him. His pressing, his leadership, his composure. He's like a new signing for us and a big addition to the team. We've asked him to play in a number of different positions than we had in mind due to the number and the players that we have out at the moment. But I'm really happy with him. And do you know what Arsenal fans should be? I think this player could have a very, very, very good season with Arsenal. And people might question it and go, where's he going to play? Trust me, he'll get games. Trust me, he'll get games. You know Arsenal. Arsenal will get injuries. Arsenal need to rotate. Arsenal have more games than ever. If Arsenal go far in all competitions, they could play near on 50 to 60 games. It's an incredible amount of football. He will be very, very important. He will be a utility player at Arsenal. He will be someone that comes in at right back when needed, left back when needed, centre back when needed, defensive midfielder when needed. Jurrien Timber could be one of Arsenal's most important players. I honestly believe that. And I think Arteta has a plan with him. I really do. I think he's a top player. And I looked at him again yesterday and he just looks so calm and composed on the ball. You know, you forget that he's only a 22-year-old as well, or 23. He is a top player. So I'm very impressed by what I've seen with Jurrien Timber. I thought it was a good sign at the time, and I still stand by that. He also goes on to mention Kai Havertz, who unfortunately missed a penalty, which was saved by Onana, who, to be fair, was trying to put on Please trying to put the players off so much, man. I did quite like what I saw. But anyway, Arteta on Havertz says today we played him in midfield because obviously we're really, really short of numbers in midfield at the moment and we've had to maintain a competitive team. We decided to play him there. That was probably the only negative I thought really was Kai Havertz coming on and not doing anything at all. And I just look at the performance and I think, what were we expecting? The guy was playing in midfield again. Why is he doing that? It does not work, Mikel. Please stop it. I understand you're short in numbers, but my word, just leave one of the like Nwaneri on and bring off someone else and play him up top. Do not play Kai Havertz anywhere other than midfield. Anywhere other than number 9. Oh, bless me. Because it is absolutely crazy, in my opinion, to play him anywhere other than number 9. But this is the one I wanted to get to because I think this is important. I'm really excited about Gabriel Martinelli, and Arteta is too. Said he's hit the ground running. So that's the mentality of the team and the individuals. He's had one training session and he comes in and plays at that level. That means he's not coming here to get prepared. He's already come prepared to show where he's at. And that's a very different approach. And I loved it. Now, I've got no qualms about Mikel Arteta's love for Gabriel Martinelli. And I did a few years back. I don't know if you remember when he got that injury and he just was not playing him. And he was nurturing him back. He was trying to get him back. And he looked absolutely electric every time he was coming on. And I'm like, look, come on, man. Let me be playing this guy. Like, he's absolutely killing it. And I always questioned whether he actually did rate him ahead of Smith-Rowe. But I started to see a change in that in the last 12 to 18 months, that actually he absolutely loves Gabriel Martinelli. And so do I. And I am going to tip him to have a good year. I am. The reason I'm going to tip him to have a good year is, one, I don't think he can have as bad a year as he did last year because I think his confidence was knocked a bit. 2, he looks sharp and he looks ready. And I think our left-hand side is going to be revamped. I think the signings of potentially Mikel Merino and Calafiori are going to lift the game of Gabriel Martinelli. I think having Kai Havertz or Jesus there at that number 9 as that sustainability striker, I think for me, definitely is something that he 100% will thrive off of. So I'm a big fan of what I've seen. Now, this preseason is only a game and people can take what they want from it. People can say it's not something we need to take too seriously and that we shouldn't be looking into it as much as some people do. But I will say this, when you beat Man United, it's always very nice. And Manchester United fans are getting the ump already, aren't they? Oh, you've only beaten us. You've only done this. It's only pre-season. It was an offside goal. We still beat you on penalties. Who cares? We won the game 2-1. So let's take some questions. Get your questions in the chat, people. Make sure you put a Q at the start of it. If you throw in a super chat, then you, of course, will get ahead of the queue. If you want to become a new member, then you can do. Big up to Sky version 90, who has become a YouTube member. All you got to do is click like, click subscribe, and click the join button. And then you can pay a minimal fee to the channel, which will support the content and the production level. So thank you so much for people that are doing that, because honestly, that does mean a hell of a lot. It really does. And let's take a look at these questions then, shall we? Big up to Sky version. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And big up to Carol as well. Great to see you in the chat, Carol. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good summer. Says, why do we have so few academy players that make it like Saka? I just think that's the way it is in football. I really do. And I've said it before. We have one every decade that shines. And when you're at a club the size of Arsenal, you have to be that level to shine. And that's why we've gone on to see some fantastic youth talents that have gone on to do some great things, but it weren't at Arsenal. Jermaine Pennant, David Bentley, they were all tipped to be the next best thing. It didn't happen for them. The only one I would say that potentially got away is Serge Gnabry. I wouldn't say there's anybody that we've ever sold that I thought, what the hell are we doing? Why are we selling that? It's not like we've sold a KDB like Chelsea did, and then he's gone on to be fantastic. So for me, I think we need to be realistic about that and accept that sometimes the players are not world-class level potentially, but a good level. So that's what I think. That's where I think we're at. This next question, here we go. Mum says, what was 29's penalty like? Do you know what? It was saved by, it wasn't the best. It was saved by Anand. It was quite a good save. He's actually good at penalties, Havertz. That's the first one he's missed in about 25 penalties. But he didn't have a good game, I didn't think. He was in midfield again, and it just weren't the best, in my opinion. Shaq said, Dan, would you take Ollie Watkins? No, I don't think I would. And hear me out as to why. I love the fact he's a gooner. I love the fact he loves Arsenal. Love the fact he's a goal scorer. Goals and assists last year were not his problem. I just think we can get better than Ollie Watkins, which might seem harsh. The reason I would take Ivan Toney ahead of him, Victor Gyökeres ahead of him, is because he can do a lot more with his back to goal than Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins, I think, will be a better finisher and one in the box, but I'm not sure that he can do the whole round game. And I feel like we need a striker that can do the whole round game, but is a killer in the box too. And I'm not so sure that we can get Ollie Watkins to do all of that part of his game. I think he would just be standing up there and poacher in the box, which, fair play, we might need. But I also think we need the other part of the game as well. Because if Saka and Martinelli are getting involved in the mix, you need someone to be linking into as well. And I'm not sure Ollie Watkins can do that. I also think, as much as he'd be a good option and a good player, how much is he going to cost? I mean, he ain't going to be 50 million. He's going to be double that. Do you want to pay 100 million for 28-year-old Watkins? Not for me. Not for me. But listen, I wouldn't hate on it. I mean, he's a good player. Guna76 says, do you see Timber and Calafiori playing together? At the moment, I don't. Maybe in the future, and maybe for a couple of games if we rotate. I think if everybody's fit, I don't think they get into the starting 11 together. I think one of them will play at left back, and it will probably be Calafiori, seeing as we've just spent £42 million on him. I think Calafiori will be the left back, Ben White right back, and then Gabriel and Saliba won't be touched. I think that will be the partnership. I think Timber is the guy that comes in with Tomiyasu and is the versatile one. He plays right back or left back or centre back. There's going to be a time where he plays alongside him, I think, in a, Champions League fixture maybe. Let's say we play Shakhtar Donetsk and he wants to rotate a little bit because we've got Man United on the weekend at Old Trafford. He might play Timber in at right back and Calafiori at left back. Or maybe you'll go with Calafiori at left centre back and Timber at left back. So that is what we could see. But I don't think when everyone's fit that they will be the team that we see together, no. Let's see where we're at next. Who's got the next question? It's Jake. Big up, Jake. Hope you're well, mate. Says, with Marino coming in, fingers crossed, where should Arsenal prioritise after that? Yeah, this is a good question. So the goalkeeper situation for me has never been a priority because Rao is number one. The left back was a priority that's now fixed with Calafiori. Marino coming in as the 8, I think is fantastic. After that, we really need to look at the Bukayo Saka situation and the striker. For me, I would go with a striker because I still feel that Jesus can play out there. I think we need a proper number 9. It might have to be Victor Gyökeres. Now, according to reports, I'm going to highlight this from Kyle, who says that according to this source, Victor Gyökeres from Sporting is now Arsenal's main target. I think once Calafiori comes in, Mikel Merino will be the next guy. And then who do we prioritise after that, Jake? I think a striker, personally. I think that's what we have to do. I think they want Nico Williams. I've heard rumours of Eze and Pedro Neto. And I think that they might be the next targets after that. I don't think it will be a striker. But for me, I think it should be. I still don't know that I can put money on Arsenal buying a striker this summer. I don't know why. Maybe it's because Arteta never has other than Jesus. Maybe it's because I don't see a number 9 out there that they 100% want. But if the Victor Gyökeres rumours are picking up, then yeah, I'll go with him 100%. He's the one I would take after Alexander Isak if he's not available, of course, which I don't think he's going to be. Let's be real. Should we prioritise after that? Mr. Waffle, how are you, mate? Hope you're well. Good to hear from you. Says, Dan, this is what worries me about Arteta. We can all see that Havertz doesn't work in midfield and Arteta is supposed to be the professional, being paid handsomely for it. It's worrying. I will bring this up now, and I think this is a very good point. If Mikel Arteta starts to use Havertz in midfield, on his head be it. I think there's enough said on that. On your head be it, Mikel. Because that is what cost us the title last season, in my opinion. By dropping him back into midfield against Bayern Munich and Villa, and we lost both games and went out of both competitions. But people don't like to talk about it because it's Mikel and they all love him. I understand. I get it. I understand there's a love for him, but he can make mistakes, and he made them there. So I don't know why we have to. It's such a crime to say that is the case, because it is. Anyway, Alex, make sure you do me a favour, people. Make sure you go and follow him Forder on Football. Alex has just started up and he's absolutely incredible. He's going to hit to the next high level. So please make sure you go over and support Alex. You'll see him on this channel regularly as well. Production levels are insane and off the charts. So please make sure you go and follow Forder on football. Why aren't more people hitting the like button? It's free, people. Well, do you know what? This is absolutely correct. What have we got on likes at the moment? We're on 455 people that are in here, and we have only hit 162 likes. Come on, people. It is the only appreciation you can show me to suggest that you like the channel and that you like the content. So please hit the like button. That's all you got to do. If it didn't mean anything, I honestly promise you I would not keep nagging you. But it means so much for the channel and it puts us out there. So please make sure that you're doing that, people, because it does mean a hell of a lot and it does start to allow people to follow us and grow. So please, I really do mean that. If you could just hit the like button, all you got to do is come out the chat by pressing cross, hit the like, and then hit the chat back again. It takes about 1.5 seconds to do it. So please do it, people, and hit the subscribe while you're there. We are getting close and close and closer to 30k. So please make sure you're part of the community and join us there by doing that. Big up to Alex as well. Much appreciate that, bro. Really do appreciate it indeed. Qasim says, big up, Dan. Any updates on Marino, Ruiz, or Williams? I really think we need 2 upgrades on Smith-Rowe and Nketiah to win the league this season. Well, listen, I think Nketiah and Smith-Rowe are definitely off. Smith-Rowe looks like it's done. He's going to Fulham, £35 million. Eddie Nketiah, we're trying to agree a fee with Marseille. Looks like they want a loan with an obligation to buy, which is fine as long as it's an obligation to buy and not an option. We want £42 million. I think they are looking towards £30 million, which means I believe we'll probably get 30 million. We've add-ons to around 35 and accept that. That's what I would do. And then them 2 will go. What does that mean for people coming in? Well, there's rumours of Eze. I would absolutely love Eze to replace Emil Smith-Rowe. Nico Williams is the guy we want, but it looks like Barcelona are going to be getting him, and he's got his heart and mindset on Barcelona. Ruiz, it's gone very quiet, but the last couple of days it did pick up, and our reps were definitely talking. So watch the space on this one. That might pick up again. Marino, though, Romano has suggested is close. So I think that one is probably going to happen. And I don't think he's got his heart set on Barcelona yet, unless, of course, that changes. Asked away, our news says, more of a statement here. It wasn't just a preseason friendly last year for United fans when they beat us in the States. This is a great shout because when we beat them, it is like, don't matter, it's only friendly. But when they beat us, it's not friendly. It's not friendly. It's Arsenal, Man United. It means a lot. Well, there we go then. Great shout, to be fair, bro. This one comes in from Greeny Man, who says, we need 8 English players. If we sell Smith-Rowe, Eddie, Nelson, Ramsdale, we'll be short of the English quota. What or who would you replace? Well, this is an interesting one because for me, you're going to have some youngsters that are going to class as homegrown. You're also going to be adding to that Ethan Nwaneri. You're probably going to be adding Lewis Skelly. You're probably going to be adding Tommy Setford. I believe that if Dan Bentley was to come in as the 3rd choice goalkeeper, you'll be adding him. So that's 4. And then, of course, you add whoever you've got there already at the club. But this is a great point because if you start selling all your English talent, then you're going to struggle with your homegrown quota. So that is a very, very good point. So hopefully, hopefully we can get there. Where are we? God, I'm losing them now. Here we go. Sam says, do you see us signing a striker? Because I don't. Listen, I touched on it earlier. I'm going to say, if I had to put my money on it, I would say no. But we need one. Big time. We need one. But I don't think we're going to. If we buy a striker, it will be Victor Gyökeres. I'll say that. If people don't want him, I don't think we'll get one. I really don't. From his Guna says Calafiori, Marino, and Ruiz on a loan, or Calafiori, Marino, and Eze. Well, do you know what? Call me crazy, but we could actually do all 4 of these because Calafiori's come in already. Marino's 20 million. Fabian Ruiz is a loan with an obligation to buy, and Eze's got a release clause of £60 million with an £8 million add-on. We could do all of these, and they'd all be good signings. And people might say we don't need that many. Well, trust me. Calafiori comes in at left back. Marino comes in as a left 8. Fabian Ruiz comes in and probably starts in the left 8 with Marino as cover. And Eze is the Smith-Rowe replacement who can cover for Saka. So, yeah, I think we could get all of them. I really do. Will we? Different question. Huge question mark whether we'll get them all done. But I know that we like all those players, so let's see what happens. Bain Edit say we have quite a strong rotational defence now, which we haven't had in years. Do you think we could actually win one of the domestic cups this year? It has to be the FA Cup for me. Look, do you know what? I'll say this. If we do win domestic silverware this year, we can have a successful season, whatever. Because for me, we're going to title race push. We're going to push for a title again. We're going to have to. We're going to have to go all the way. That's the bare minimum now. That's the standard. You go for a title race every season at Arsenal. It should be that anyway. It hasn't been that for a while. Wenger started brainwashing people to say that top four was a trophy and all this rubbish. For me, it's never been. It's always been about a title push. For me, if we push for the title and we come second best again, we win a trophy and Arteta will keep his job. There will be massive question marks if we finish trophyless again and come second again. There will be. And you can't defend that. Those that love Arteta and the process and project cannot defend that if we don't win something this season, there's going to be huge question marks about when we can do it and is he the right guy to get us across the line. So that's the way I see it. As for a domestic cup, we should be taking every single one of them seriously. Because if you look at our squad right now, let's say we make a few signings, our squad could quite easily have a team capable of putting out a team for a Carabao Cup game or for a FA Cup game with your backup goalkeeper, Tomiyasu at right back, Timber at left back, Calafiori and Saliba, let's say, or Ben White. You could also, in midfield, have Jorginho, Partey and Ethan Nwaneri. You can have Trossard or Martinelli or both. Potentially an Eze type signing or a winger that's coming in. And then up top, either your new striker or Havertz or Jesus. That is good enough to compete and go to the latter stages of both the domestic cups. So I'm not having it that we don't have the squad. If we don't have the squad to put out to win these competitions, Edu and Arteta haven't done their job. That's what I'll say. That is what I'll say. So I think that's what we need to look at. Let's take a look at some of these. So I'm just trying to catch up and star some of these questions you guys have put for me. There we go. Right. So this one comes in from one of our legendary members, Aaron. I hope you're well, my bro. Says, I see Romano an hour ago says that once Smith-Rowe leaves, we're pushing for Marino. I wonder if selling these academy kids for 100% profit is a reason we aren't more active. We have to have some outgoings before we get incomings. Apparently, according to Romano, that's the case. That's the plan. Calafiori coming in is the first one. I expect to see some movement after Smith-Rowe and Eddie Nketiah and Nelson will leave. I also expect to see some movement on Marino in the coming days. So this week, I expect to be talking to Marino to see if that can be something that can happen. So, yeah, man, I think we keep an eye on this one because I think it is going to get busy now as far as Arsenal are concerned. But big up, Aaron. Hope you're well, my bro. Michael says, on the Havertz in midfield situation, from now on will be an emergency situation when he plays in midfield. Look to Xhaka and how he would always manage to play a game or two at left back each season. I think emergency is something that we don't want to see at Arsenal anymore, if I'm honest. I really do not believe that we can see any moment, any game, any minute that Havertz has to play in midfield. Something's gone wrong, in my opinion. We either haven't done our job in the summer or something's gone wrong. Errol says, hi, Dan, what about Alvarez from Manchester City? I'm going to do a show on this later because there are reports that Julian Alvarez is leaving Manchester City and Arsenal and Chelsea and some clubs abroad like Atletico Madrid and others are interested. They want £77 million for him. Would that be a better striker signing than the likes of Ivan Toney, Osimhen and Gyökeres? That's what we're going to discuss. So that one will be a good show later. Big up to Ab Buddy, who's given a super sticker in. Much appreciate that, bro. Really do appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. This one comes in from Oompa Loompa. Absolutely love that name. It's absolutely class. He says, would you sell Havertz? And do you think that Arteta could be our version of Southgate? He's moved the squad forward, got the club united, but fails at the final hurdle. There's a few questions in there. I wouldn't sell Kai Havertz because I feel like he gives the squad a lot. He gives a different dimension, and I think he proved himself at the back end of last season and certainly proved his worth. Do I think that Arteta could be our version of Gareth Southgate? Potentially. I think Mikel Arteta could be the nearly there guy. I think Mikel Arteta could be a Brendan Rodgers, not a Jurgen Klopp, that's for sure. But I've got to give him this season to prove that he can get us across the line. And if he doesn't, then I, for one, shall be asking for a replacement. That's for sure. But I will probably be alone because a lot of the fan base don't agree and think that Mikel Arteta should stay wherever. So, yeah, that's what I believe. Let's take a look at this one. Netweed, hope you're well, mate. I know you're not a fan of some of my guests, and you've made that very clear, but everyone's entitled to an opinion, just like yourself, mate, which is very, very different to a few others. But I think you and I do see things very similar in some cases. Dan, the FA Cup and second place is not progress. Okay, no, I'd agree with that. It's not huge progress, but it's silverware, mate, and a trophy is a trophy, and I will always go for trophies. Trophyless seasons are not success, in my opinion. Mr. Waffle says, Dan, we all know what happens we all know that whatever happens in this transfer window will be short. The roundabout effect is every season. If we are short, then Edu, Cronkies, Garlic, Arteta, all of you, on your heads be it. On your heads be it. This one comes in again from Aaron, who says Gyökeres for 65 or Alvarez for 77. I don't think we'll get Gyökeres for 65. I really don't. What player would I prefer? Alvarez has been good for Manchester City. He's Premier League proven. But as a number 9, is he a massive upgrade? I don't know. I think he's an upgrade, but I don't think it's going to win us the title. I think Gyökeres is more likely. So I'll go with him, bro. I'll go with him. And then Netweed has said, he's come back again and said, why is it every excuse and small cup, barring the actual league title, Dan? Anything but the league title should mean trophyless next season. With the Arsenal, not Everton. Okay, so I agree that we're the Arsenal, not Everton. I agree that we need to raise the standards, and I agree that we need to try and win the league. But if we don't win the league and we win the Champions League, it's not been a bad season. If we don't win the league and we win the FA Cup and we go for a title race, it's not been a bad season. If we get the domestic cup or domestic cup double and we don't win the league, then it's not been a bad season. Trophies are always something that I will never, ever say is a bad season. So for me, it's about winning trophies. And going 31 years without a European trophy is too long for Arsenal. Going over 30 years for a League Cup without a League Cup is too long. To be fair to you, going 5 years without an FA Cup is too long. And going over 20 years is way too long for a Premier League title. So Arsenal need to win trophies. That's how simple it is. That is, for me anyway, why a trophy and doing that is success. Whether it's a League Cup, whether it's a FA Cup, Champions League or League title, for me, absolutely, it is a successful season. And I think Arsenal will title challenge. I don't know where Arsenal are going to be in relation to, will we get to the last game again? Will we get to 2 games gone? Will we be able to be leading it and bottle it again? Who knows? I have no idea about that. All I know is that we need to get to that last game of the season, knowing that if we win our game, we win the league. That's what I want, right? Now, I don't know where everyone else is going to be. And what I mean by everyone else is not where the family is going to be with this, where rivals are going to be with this, because I have no idea what we're going to get from Liverpool. I will tip them to come third again because I've not seen anything to suggest that they won't. But I don't know what Arne Slot's about. I don't know what Villa are going to be like, even though they've had a good window with Champions League football on Emery. I don't know what Tottenham are going to be like. No idea under Ange. What are they doing? They haven't signed anybody yet. But if they do, and they start to get Tony in, and Eze in, and Pedro Neto in, I might start to think, oh my God, Tottenham could easily get top 4. What's Maresca going to be like with Chelsea? Who knows? What's Manchester United going to be like with Ten Hag under a new structure? No idea. What are Newcastle going to be like with 1 game a week with all their players back? I think this season's going to be unbelievable. How the hell are you supposed to predict after the top 2 who's going to come anywhere? Because I think Arsenal and City, again, will go for it. But after that, who the hell is going to come from 3rd to 10th? I haven't got a Scooby. No idea. Absolutely no idea. And trying to pick a prediction right now, 3rd to 10th, where'd you put them? Where do you go? Who's your top 4? Is it Liverpool and Villa again? Is it Spurs this time? Do Man United creep back in there? The Newcastle get back in there because they were Champions League before? I don't know, man. I think it's really, really, really. That would be foolish, really, to say right now who's going to come where, because there's so much work to be done in the transfer window. So that's where I'm at. Listen, we're going to finish it there with the last question. Big up to all of you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. There's so many of you at the moment. It's great stuff. It's looking good. The channel's great. We've only got 230 likes, which means that should be at 300. So please make sure that you click the like button. Please make sure that you hit subscribe. And please make sure you click the pinned comment to Manscaped. Go and sort yourself out with some beard trimmers that are very cheap at the moment, that are not usually when it comes to Manscaped. So there's only a short period for you to do that. Click on the pinned comment. It will take you straight through to the website. Click on beard and face, beard hedger, add it to your cart. It will take 20% off using that link. So please make sure you use that link, should I say. And listen, people, we'll see you next time. Take it easy. We'll see you tonight. I'm going to be back tonight to discuss this Alvarez stuff. So don't go anywhere. And the Marino news as well. So we'll see you back tonight. And as always, up the Arsenal. Take it easy, people.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of radiant settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.